Hi, I'm Larry Brill.
And I'm Scott Simmergren. This is Larry. He's an award-winning author. His latest book is Deja Vu All Over Again.
Scott is an award winner with a list of 5-star reviews as long as your arm. His latest novel is a great piece of literary fiction. It's called The Benevolent Lords of Sometimes Island. Well, last year, Scott and I put together the Austin Lity Limits website, a way to introduce people to some really great authors and showcase them through one-on-one interviews and readings.
We've been working with our good friends at Book People to create these interviews, but COVID-19 has driven everyone to their virtual bunkers. Now we've decided to continue Austin Lity Limits online, socially distanced, but every bit as entertaining. Up next is my talk with Jeannette Brown. Her latest novel is The Illusion of Leaving.
Jeannette spent her earliest years in East Texas near the Red River border before moving with her family to the opposite end of the world, Spur, a town of about 5,000 an hour outside of Lubbock. Boy, was that a culture shock, but it inspired her and sparked a love for writing. Over the years, she's been a planning consultant, a dancer, a synchronized swimmer, copywriter, and journalist. Her novel, The Illusion of Leaving, reflects her youth and the life lessons gained of living in a small West Texas town.
Please welcome Jeannette Brown.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Glad to be here too. Now, normally we would we had a interview scheduled at Book People in Austin, Texas, for June 6th, and normally we would be there doing the interview, but because of the pandemic, here we are in Zoom. So I'm glad you could join me. And Jeannette Brown's new book is The Illusion of Leaving. Excellent novel. Literary fiction. Let's start by saying, how are you doing? I know you also spend some time at a bookstore. You work at a bookstore. What's it like? And then I know indie bookstores are a great part of communities and cities. What's it like at the bookstore you work at right now?
When we first closed, excuse me. When the bookstore closed, we were just doing mail orders and some delivery around town. And then people could order books online or on the phone, and we would just leave them outside the door for people to pick up. The store's downtown, so we get a lot of foot traffic. Now it is opened up to 1 or 2 people for every 30 minutes, but you need to make an appointment so that the store will be virtually empty. But it's a lot of fun to have the store to yourself, so nobody's in between you and the books, and the clerks are all ready to help. So
Does business seem to be okay?
It's good.
Excellent.
Indie stores are fun because they have such an interesting range of both books and toys. I call them toys. They're, socks and journals and just stuff you didn't know you need, but you can't live without once you see it. So
of course,
they've got
nice bookmarks.
There you go.
So let's get into your book, The Illusion of Leaving. So the main character, Jamie, goes back home to Big Falls, Texas. Her father, who is a huge figure in the community of Big Falls, is sick, and she goes home to visit him. She hadn't been home in a while. She wrestles with living in the shadow of Big Jim, as well as trying to be her own independent person. Even though she is a middle-aged woman, that shadow looms large. Do you identify with Jamie's struggle?
Well, I didn't have a father, so we eliminated that. We didn't have the money or the influence that Jamie did. What I identified with was trying to get out of town. The small town life is good and bad. And the part I focused on as a teenager was when you did something that crossed the line, your parents knew before you got back home. So there were no secrets, and there was a lot of judgment. So I was anxious to get away from that. I wanted to go to a city and be anonymous. But then looking back, I missed the cohesiveness and the support of the people in a small town. So yeah, Jamie and I had some things in common, and then some I had to imagine.
Right. So she also has an ex-husband who lives in town, Brady Joe. And through the course of the story, she finds out that a lot of the course of her life was determined by Brady Joe and her dad without her even knowing. And she, finds this out decades later. I found that to be kind of a really painful revelation. Can you talk about that a little bit, about how those kind of things were set in place for her, and tell me your feelings of those kind of family secrets?
I think the instrumental part of Jamie's problem is a father who thinks he knows better than she does about what she wants and what she needs. So those, I guess they're called helicopter parents now. They make all the decisions. And he was interested in Jamie's future, but also in his future. So that's why he kind of helped foster the relationship between Brady Joe and Jamie.
Well, to play devil's advocate, although he thinks he knows best, at some point she realizes that she does miss the town. So do you think that maybe he did know best?
No.
Yeah.
She has to come to that realization for herself. He can't just put his thumb on her and keep her in town. That's
Right.
not the way we grow up. So
Sure.
we have to make our own mistakes.
This is very true. So the book cover has this very serene, kind of placid scene, but the novel is very lively and humorous inside. Do you think humor is important in your writing? A lot of the banter between the townfolk and Jamie was really quite funny.
Good. I think humor is really important. For one thing, there's supposed to be tension in a book and tension between characters. And I think humor gives the reader a break from the tension, but it also shows different sides of a character, that they're not all just serious or one way.
Sure. A general question: where do you find support for your writing? Do you find it from your family, your friends, the bookstore? Or do you have a writers community in your town? Where do you find
Yes.
support?
In Knoxville, Tennessee, we have a Knoxville Writers Guild, which is very supportive of writers. And my friends and family are very supportive, but I also have a writers critique group, and there's 5 of us, and I write plays and stories and novels. We have a guy who's writing mystery novels, and then we have another person who's working on a family history, and we have another one who writes young adult fiction. So we accommodate each other. Also, for those of us who had a book released, launched, and got shot down, there's about a dozen of us women who formed a collective. And instead of touring from place to place, bookstore to bookstore, we are fostering each other's books and launches on our Facebook and our social media. Writing support groups become friends, individual friends, because we do take care of each other.
Right. That's something I wish I had done as a younger person. I didn't have many writer friends. I have a bunch now, and I find the support to be just so invaluable. Like not just commiserating with them about whatever, but just whether it's writing query letters or getting notes on stores. I just find it so valuable to be able to talk to other writers and share experiences with them.
And their critiques are measured, so they're helpful, but they're also gentle. They're not trying to be smart or prove something.
Right. So when I'm not writing, I read books on crafts of writing, like Damn Fine Story by Wendig. What do you do to sharpen your writer tools when you're not writing?
Um, I read a lot. Mostly I try to pay attention to what's going on outside, like weather and seasons. Um, I read plays, watch movies, and I was watching the other night a movie called The Assistant. And after it was over, I realized there was no plot. It's like, oh, can we get away with that now? So I expand my repertoire by reading other people or watching other people's work and
Hmm.
seeing what I can glean from it.
So tell me some other books, book or music or movies recently you've seen that have inspired you. What was that one you said? Was it The Assistant? Where did you see
The
that?
Assistant,
Hmm.
it's sort of a Harvey Weinstein is never mentioned, but it's this poor assistant who just gets hammered with, pick up the cleaning and take care of his girlfriends. And so, but there was no continuity. It was just a day in the life. And it's like, wow, I don't know if I've seen a movie like that before. Um, I've just finished Sisters of the Undertow, which it's by Johnny Bernhardt. She's a former Texan. I think she lives in Corpus Christi now. Very good family novel about sisterhood, which is always fraught. I have a sister too, so
We won't tell her you were talking about her.
tell her.
Man, the last movie I saw that was really great was Hell or High Water with Jeff Bridges. Have you seen that movie?
Oh, that was fabulous.
Such a good movie. I know it came out a few years ago, but it had been on my list for a while. And then, of course, as things happen, you forget about stuff. And then I watched it and I was like, oh my God, that movie
Right.
is so
A
good.
Western. A Western. They
Like a
don't make
modern
them
Western, yeah.
anymore.
Yeah. And then the last book I read, last couple, I read Nickel Boys by Colson Whitehead. He won the Pulitzer this year.
Right. Haven't read that yet.
Fantastic book. And then All Things Left Wild by James Wade. That was the last one I read, a literary Western. Very good.
Ooh, I'll have to pick that up. Being in Tennessee, I am drawn to things Texan and cowboys and westerns, and makes me a little homesick.
Hmm. When I was reading your book, I was thinking about The Last Picture Show by Larry McMurtry, and thinking about the small town aspect of that book and yours. And although his book was written in the 60s and your book was written recently, I found um, similarities in the small town being a trap for people. All right, so this is a part of the show that we call it the lightning round. It's a concept we stole from Inside the Actors Studio, but they didn't come up with it. They stole it from Marcel Proust, who stole it from Bernard Pivot. But it's 10 questions. We ask all the writers these same questions. Are you ready for the lightning round?
I'm ready.
Excellent. What is your favorite word?
My favorite word is peace or peaceful. I like the calm.
Very nice. What is your least favorite word?
My least favorite word is hate because it's usually so fiery and so emotional. Having said that, my next least favorite word is I hate the word exercise because it makes me feel guilty.
All right. So the next question, which I know the answer is not exercise. What turns you on?
What turns me on is a new idea for a story or a book or a play. I just get so excited and just constantly make notes, and I start planning my research, and everything seems to be connected around that idea. So I get real excited.
That's the best. That's infectious.
Yes.
Okay. What turns you off?
Right now, this changes moment to moment, but right now I'm really tired of people using Facebook and social media to sell things.
Yeah, that's true. What is your idea of happiness?
Happiness is a good book, or talking with friends, walking out in nature, in the woods or something.
Oh, I miss my friends right now.
I know.
I haven't seen them in person in a while.
Right.
Okay, next question? Who's your favorite author?
Um, I like a lot of writers, but my constant is Marianne Wiggins. She wrote Separate Checks, Johnny Dollar. There was another one she wrote set in Knoxville.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to figure out what the name of it was. Anyway, she's a really good writer. She was married to Salman Rushdie when he was under the fatwa.
Mm-hmm.
They were confined together, and now they hate each other.
That was probably why.
It'll happen.
If you could be any character from a well-known novel, who would you be?
Carrying out the small town, big city metaphor, I guess, is Holly Golightly from Breakfast at Tiffany's. She has escaped the small town, even though it comes back to fetch her.
Mm-hmm.
I think her naivete and her just the way she gulps down New York. She's a fun character.
Excellent. What profession other than your own would you want to attempt?
Well, this is kind of similar, but I would like to be a travel writer, just to be going all the time somewhere new. And I think when you're a writer, you pay more attention to things like, food and the people.
Mm-hmm.
So you make notes and closely watch. So,
I had the same thought. My wife and I went to Puerto Rico for a honeymoon, and as I was walking around, I thought I could be a travel writer.
Right.
All right. What profession would you least want to do?
I am just not cut out for teaching. Those people are my heroes, and they've got skill sets and mindsets and whatever that I would never have. I wouldn't trust a child with me. I don't think I have patience, and those are special people, and I couldn't be one.
Excellent. All right, last question. So if heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say to you when you reach the check-in desk?
He would say, "So soon, Jeannette? We haven't scheduled you for another decade. Let me check the records."
Excellent. Jeannette Brown, thank you very much. And the book, The Illusion of Leaving, get it at your local bookstore. Thank you for being on Austin Living Limits.
Thank you, Scott. It's been fun.